Okay, Prabhuji, you can start, please.
Yeah. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Tajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirahe Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajnabhaya Nama Pankajmaline Nama Pankajnetraya Namaste Pankajangrahe Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvaishe Namaha Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya Namo Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatam hamande Shri Guru Devataya Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwar Pavitra Pavitra Sarvasanto Tatmani Pundrikaksha Savayam Taram Shuchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all for joining on this Sunday morning for this Bhagavatam class. Okay. So today, Today I was being told to continue from chapter number 14, Canto 4, the story of King Vena. So yesterday, Giriraj Prabhuji, His Grace Giriraj Prabhuji, very wonderfully completed chapter number 13, where he tells about King Anga. And now the story of King Vena, who is the son of King Anga. So just to summarize the background, this King Anga and Vena, all these kings are coming in the lineage of Dhruv Maharaj. We know Dhruv Maharaj and his lineage, King Anga, who is actually again a great devotee of Lord, and his son is King Vena. So once King Anga died, King Anga left his body. So King Vena was installed on the throne by the rishis. But actually, King Vena is not a great person. He's a very cruel person. So we will see now from this story, there are a lot of lessons to be learned, that how when a person who is not of a proper order becomes a king, how he create havoc in the society, and what are the responsibilities of the rishis in the society, and how to bring back the culture and the peace and harmony in the society. So this story of King Vena, and actually we can take this story as our own personal story, that how we also, like King Vena, have so many problems, so many nonsense things inside us, and how to we should try to overcome that. And we should not think that King Vena is a cruel person. We should think that it's my story coming through Bhagavatam to me. So we'll just recite text 1, and then we will take all the translations and Srila Prabhupada purports, and we will try to understand quickly and try to finish the chapter before 9 o'clock maybe, or 8:39, right? ठीक है ना माता जी? हाँ. Maitreya Uvacha. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Maitreya Uvacha. Brigadasse Muneyo Lokanam Shemadarshinaha Gopatreya Sayati Venrinam Pashyantaha Pashusam Samyatam. Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, O great hero Vidura, the great sages headed by Bhrigu were always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. When they saw that in the absence of King Anga, there was no one to protect the interest of the people, they understood that without a ruler, the people would become independent and non-regulated. So yesterday we understand how King Anga left the body, and the kingdom was left without any ruler, and it's not advisable to leave the kingdom without ruler. So there should be some ruler, because if there is no ruler, then thieves and rogues, they become active, and they try to create havoc among the people, and they try to loot people and destroy everything. So this is how here we can understand that to get a king for a kingdom is very important, and the king should be a very pious king. That is also important, we'll see, but first we should have a king. So this is how the great sages think, that now since the kingdom is without a king, it's not advisable. So here the conversation going on in the Bhagavatam between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura about the story of Dhruv Maharaj, and from one question another question they are asking, and like that the story goes further. So in this word, significant word Shema Darshana, which refers to those who are always looking after the welfare of the people in general. So this is the Prabhupada is explaining that actually the devotees are the one who are the looking, or devotees or even sadhus are the one who are looking for the welfare of others always. So they have no personal interest in this world, but they're always thinking how to get other people. And from Bhagavatam, we understand that the real welfare of all the people is to engage people in the service of the Lord Sri Hari. So this is how. So here, thereby the king of every planet to rule the people with an ultimate goal of life in the mind. So this is the responsibility of a king, that they should advise their citizens to come to the level of devotional service. All the citizens become so much so that they could be compared to animals. So after the disappearance of King Anga, there was no one to follow the instructions of the great sages. consequently, all the citizens become unruly, so much so that they could be compared to animals. So we can see actually very clearly, even in present example in our Indian politics. So right now we have our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Damodar Das Modi. So he is a holy man, and we can see that once Damodar Das Modi ji took over the charge of as a Prime Minister since many years now, almost 10 years. So things have changed a lot. We have seen the improvement, although it's Kali Yuga. And before that, when some other king were there, other PM were there, there was, we can see the difference clearly. So it's very important that a great person who is a great devotee should become the king and should rule the throne and should engage the people, should try to engage the people in the service of Lord. If there is no kingdom, then there is no hope for the society. So this is the way the society is being designed by Krishna. So in similarly, Prabhupada is explaining that in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. So we'll just see the 4.13. Chatur varnaya maya system guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram api mam vidhu kartavam apyam. So this is how Krishna is describing 4.13, that these 4 varnas and 4 ashramas are designed by me, and they are everywhere. So no matter, you can say that these are all Indian and Sanatan Dharma or Vedic culture, no, but this culture is being followed everywhere, wherever the humans are there. In the names are different, we can call them Kshatriya, they're soldiers, or BSF Jawan or whatever, but CISF, but soldiers are there, protectors are there, rulers are there, politicians are there, Vaishyas are there. Ideally, Vaishyas are to be engaged in the trade. Prabhupada explained that they are engaged in the trade of milk and grass, milk and agriculture. But nowadays we can see different types of Vaishyas are coming who are doing different of trades, and Shudras are there who are actually helping all these things. So in the name of so-called employment and employment things, so actually our modern education system is focusing more and more and generating more and more Shudras so that they can support these all people. So having no knowledge of the ultimate goal of life, such person whimsically enact laws without knowledge of life's purpose. The result is that no one is happy. So this is a very nice thing. Being in a middle management position in my organization, I can see that how the way management thinks how to engage the people just by giving them some incentive, some money, so that they keep on working like a dog for you. So this is how the management treats the people, and this is how they want Shudras to come and just support their business so that they can earn a lot money. This is how the Vaishyas treat actually the people nowadays. So that culture is always there, but the names have changed. We are not calling them Shudra, we are calling them employees. We're not calling Vaishyas, we are calling them employers, businessmen, whatever. So on text number 2. The great sages then called for the queen mother, Sunita, and with her permission, they installed Vena on the throne as a master of the world. All these ministers, however, disagree with this. Actually, before this story began, in last chapter, there is one conversation where Maitri asked that how come the king Anga, who is coming in the lineage of Dhruv Maharaj, who is such a great pious king, got a child like Vena. Now we'll see that Vena is actually a very cruel person who actually, after becoming king, create havoc for whole society. But it's explained that since King Anga got married to this queen mother Sunita, and Sunita is a son of death personified. So actually, because of their union, when King Anga came, so King Anga, because it said that his mood goes on his mother's father. So like that, because of that, he become a very cruel king, cruel person. So text number 3. It was already known that Vena was very severe and cruel. Therefore, as soon as all the thieves and rogues in the state heard of his ascendant or to the royal throne, they become very much afraid of him. Indeed, they hid themselves here and there as rats hide themselves from the snake. So this is very nice analogy. Prabhupada uses analogy to explain, and with this analogy, it's very easy to understand that exactly what do you think want to say. So here Prabhupada is saying that since this Vena already was very famous, that he is very cruel person, he had no mercy. So all the thieves and rogues thought that now he become king, he will punish us. So they just get hit. So actually, temporarily it benefited. Initially, we see that it actually benefited because the thieves and rogues, they just hide themselves. But later we will see that king himself start doing the same job what thieves and rogues used to do. So this is called modern politician also. You'll see they'll come to you for vote, and once you give them vote, you put them on the throne. And then the next day they also become the king and they also become the thieves, and they start doing the same thing for which they want they promise to protect you. So this purport Prabhupada explained that when the government is very weak, rogues and thieves flourish. Similarly, when the government is very, very strong, all the thieves and rogues disappear or hide themselves. Of course, Mena was not a good king, but he was known to be cruel and severe. Thus, the state at least become freed from the thieves and rogues. So this is just a temporary relief to the state. Text 4. When the king ascended to the throne, he became all-powerful with 8 kinds of opulences. Consequently, he became too proud. By virtue of his false prestige, he considered himself to be a greater than anyone. Thus he began to insult great personalities. So this is the very bad, very poor thing, understanding of thing. Then when we get some power, we try to think that I can control everybody. So the sense of controllership, we can change the thing, we can change the world, we can control. I become such a great. Although King Vena was actually a very big king, he was ruling the whole world. But we can see that ultimately there is only one superior person who can control everything, that is Lord Shri Krishna, and we should never forget that. No matter how high we go in our life, we should always become submissive to Lord. So this is one thing which was missing with King Vena and which is missing with anyone, and then he can create a havoc for everybody. So this is one lesson we can learn, that no matter how much great we become, how much powers we have, how much controllership we have, we should always become submissive to Lord, and we should never think that I got everything. We can always see like Hanumanji got so much power, but he never said that I can do anything. He said, whatever I am doing is I am just a servant of Lord Rama, and whatever great things I am doing just because of the mercy of Lord Rama. So we have already seen there are so much great devotees. Arjuna is a great devotee. He was the most powerful archer at this time, but he never become proud of that. He always said that my powers are coming because of the mercy of Lord Shri Hari. So like that, we can take example. We have example of both the types of people. Like King Vena, he was thinking that I am the great, I am great. He even actually stopped. He even gave the order that all people should stop worshipping, all people should stop sacrificing to the demigods and the god, and they all should start worshipping to me. Same like Hiranyakashipu mentality, we say that. So kings are called Rajrishis, kings who were also great sages. By practical mystic yoga, a Rajrishi should become smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. So although he's very great king, but there's one bad thing, that he started thinking himself to be the greatest. So people can think you greater, but we should never think myself a very, very great thing. So similarly with Prabhupada, there is a very nice, very famous once some reporter asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, do you think that you are the guru for all of the people in America, and you can guide them? Then actually the devotees of Prabhupada become very curious. How come he asked such a question? Then Prabhupada becomes silent, grave for some time. He was thinking, and then he ordered, no, I am not their guru, I am their servant. So this is the very beauty of our Acharya, that we can learn from him, that although he is such a great Acharya as Prabhupada, who got power, who is empowered by Lord Chaitanya to change the world, to spread the Sankirtan movement throughout the world, but he himself never thought himself that I am very great. He always think himself that I am the servant of even my devotees. And he never thought that his disciples. So even never thought I am guru of my disciples. The mood is I am serving them. I am serving my guru. I am just serving. I am here to serve. That's all. So Gopir Bharto Pad Kamlo Das Dasanudas. So that is the mood which all should try to accept in our life, and then that our spiritual life will be very, 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 very good. Right. So when we become, text number 5, when he become overly blind due to his opulences, King Vena mounted a chariot and like an uncontrolled elephant began to travel through the kingdom, causing the sky and earth to tremble wherever he went. So this is what people will do when they got power. They start unnecessarily disturbing the other people, because I got power. It's my wish. Whatever I want to do, I will do. Text number 6. All the twice born Brahmanas were forbidden henceforward to perform any sacrifice, and they were also forbidden to give charity or offer clarified butter. Thus, King Vena sounded kettle drums throughout the countryside. In other words, he stopped all kinds of religious rituals. So this is the most bad thing person can do. And we can see Prabhupada explaining that even today in this world, we don't know when this government will give orders to stop all these things. And then that's the end. That's the end of this government. That is how the degradation in the world start when government gives orders that officially now legally you are not supposed to worship, you are not supposed to perform sacrifice, you are not supposed to do yagya, you are not supposed to worship, offer oblations in fire and do all these devotion services. That is a very worst thing any government can do. So we can see the Prabhupada explaining the world situation is so tense that any moment government may issue declarations to stop religious rituals. Eventually, the world situation will become so degraded that it will be impossible for pious men to live on the planet. Therefore, some people should execute Krishna consciousness very seriously. Sane people, not some sane people, so that they can go back home, back to Godhead without having to further suffer the miserable conditions predominant in this universe. So this is what Prabhupada is telling to all of us, that if now situations are not very good in this world, and day by day they are getting worse and worse and worse. So we should practice our Krishna consciousness very, very seriously, so that we should not get come again and face all these miseries again. Text number 7. Therefore, all the great sages assembled together and after observing cruel Vena's atrocities, concluded that a great danger and catastrophe was approaching the people of the world. Thus, out of compassion, they began to talk among themselves, for they themselves were the performer of the sacrifice. So now again the sages come who actually enthroned the King Vena on throne without even ministers know. Everybody knows that he's not a good king. He will not be a good person, so he will not become a good king. But still they enthroned. So now the sages want to rectify their mistake. So they were thinking that since we enthroned that, so all the bad activities we're doing, we'll also get the karma. We'll share the karma. Why to do that? Let's rectify this. So they were having a discussion meeting with them, and what they came out to be a conclusion, we'll see. So here Prabhupada is explaining that ordinary karmis are busy acquiring money for sense gratification. Ordinary jnanis are socially aloof when they speculate on liberation. But actual devotees and saintly persons are always anxious to see how the people can be made happy both materially and spiritually. Therefore, the great sages began to consult one another on how to get out of the dangerous atmosphere created by King Vena. Text number 8. When the great sage consulted one another, they saw that the people were in a dangerous position from both directions. When a fire blazes on both the ends of log, the ants in the middle are in a very dangerous situation. Similarly, at the time, the people in general were in dangerous position due to an irresponsible king on one side and thieves and rogues on the other. So this is very nice analogy of a log of wood where the fire is burning on both the sides. So ants in between, they don't know where to go. This side, they can't go, this side, they don't go. So similarly was the situation of the people of the society, where one side thieves and rogues are there who are looting them, who are disturbing them, and one side the king himself is disturbing them. So that's how they are thinking. Text number 9. Thinking to save the state from irregularity, the sages began to consider that it was due to a political crisis that they made King Vena king, although he was not qualified. But alas, now the people were being disturbed by the king himself. Under such circumstances, how could people be happy? So here Prabhupada explained that it is stated that even in the renounced order of life, one should not give up sacrifice, charity, and 18.5. So what is verse number 18.5? Yagyadana tapa karma na tyajam kare mevatat yagyadanam tapashcheva pavanani manishinam. So here Prabhupada explained that in Gita says that we should not stop even at a advanced age, renounced order. We should not stop yagya dan tapa. So brahmacharis must perform. So Prabhupada very beautifully explained the various classes and their responsibilities. So brahmacharis must perform sacrifice, grihasthas must give in charity, and those in renounced order of life, the unprastha and sannyasi, must practice penance and austerities. These are the procedures by which everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform. So now most of us are in Grasta order. So for us, it's very important. Prabhupada explains here that the Grastas must give in charity. So anyway, this is the one of the greatest instruction for us for Prabhupada. As long as we are in Grasta ashram, we should not stop giving charity. Saintly people could teach good God consciousness and Krishna consciousness because they are anxious to save the general population from the danger of animistic life. There must be a good government to see the citizens were actually executing their religious rituals, and thieves and rogues must be curbed. When this is done, the people can advance peacefully in spiritual consciousness and make their life successful. Text number 10. The sages began to think within themselves. Because he was born from the womb of Sunita, King Vena is by nature very mischievous. Supporting this mischievous king is exactly like maintaining a snake with milk. Now he has become a source of all difficulties. Again, Prabhupada is giving very nice analogy. So what is the problem with Sunita? The problem with Sunita is she herself is a daughter of death personified. So that qualities were there in King Vena, although his father is a great King Anga, who is in the lineage of Dhruv Maharaj. So, but still, so Prabhupada explained that it's like maintaining a snake with milk. So, even if you give milk to a snake, still you are in danger of being bitten by him. So now it becomes source of all difficulties. Purport. Prabhupada explained in the purport that saintly people are especially interested in performing sacrifice and austerities for advancement of spiritual life. But Vena, instead of being obliged because of the saint's mercy, turned out to be their enemy because he prohibited them from executing their ordinary duties. Now we have seen that these are the saints who actually enthroned King Vena, who actually enthroned Vena to become a king. And now after becoming king, he started disturbing the saints and saintly people that you can't do sacrifice and you can't do austerities and all. So this is how we see that once they are doing benefit for King Vena, and in return, Vena is not even doing good to them, he is even disturbing them. Text number 11. So here, Prabhupada, text 10, Prabhupada used the analogy that maintaining a snake with milk. So even if you give nice milk to a snake, still you can't expect the snake to do good to you. He can only bite you. So text number 11, translation. We appointed this king, Vena king of the state, in order to give protection to the citizens. But now he had become the enemy of the citizens. Despite all these discrepancies, we should at once try to pacify him. By doing so, we may not be touched by the sinful results caused by him. So now these sages have a meeting and they want to rectify their mistake. So Prabhupada explained that ultimately King Vena becomes so mischievous that the saintly sages actually become afraid of becoming contaminated by his activities. Thus, before taking any action against him, the sages try to pacify and correct him so that he might turn from his mischief. So first, initially, sages thought that we will try to correct our mistake just by giving good instructions to King Vena so that he may improve in his behavior. And their plan B is that they will just remove the king from the throne. So they got two plans. Plan A, just instruct a king. Plan B, remove the king. So text number 12. Explained that saintly sages continued thinking. Of course, we were completely aware of his mischievous nature, yet we nevertheless enthroned Vena. If we cannot persuade King Vena to accept our advice, we will be condemned by the public, and we will join them. Thus, by our prowess, we shall burn him to ashes. So this is their plan B. That we will try to convince him with good words. We will try to improve his character. But if he doesn't follow our instruction, then we will burn him to ashes. So this is the power of sages. Actually, now we see that just by mantras, it can't happen. But at that time, and even today, there are some sages who can do that. But that science is not very common, known to common people nowadays. But earlier it was very common with the great sages. So, yeah. So actually, Prabhupada explained that saintly people stay away from political matters, but sometime have to come down to the political field to correct the misguided government or royalty. So sometimes the sages, when they see that the king and government is not ruling properly, so they are allowed to come down to the level where they can correct the government so that everybody in the society will remain happy and God consciousness. So this is the duty of a saintly people that they have to guide the government also so that they can make the society in such a way that everybody become God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So Brahmana do not even have power. So nowadays we can see that saints are not that powerful. So because Kali Yuga, there is, instead of actively taking part, the Prabhupada is giving clear instruction. In this yuga, we can't do this, what these people are doing. So these circumstances, instead of actively taking part in politics, certainly people should engage in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra by the grace of Lord Chaitanya. By simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the general populace can derive all benefit without political implications. So here Prabhupada has given us clear instruction that we should not see that we'll follow the path of saintly these saints and we'll try to change the government. Prabhupada told no need to do that. In Kali Yuga, just chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, pray to Lord, and things will be changed automatically through the power of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So we should not. So this is our duty. Being a devotee, we should try to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for every situation, and we should try to engage others also to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Jade dekho tare kaho Krishna Updesh, Amar Agya Krishna, Amar Agya Guru hoye, Tara Edesh. So this is the clear instruction of Lord Chaitanya. He has not told us to engage in politics and all these things. We should just chant Hare Krishna and automatically things will improve. And we have seen many examples in life of Prabhupada, then even the acharyas following the life of Prabhupada, that just by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, just like, for example, very famous example of His Holiness Giriraj Swami. Giriraj Swami Maharaj was become the in charge for Juhu temple in our Bombay, and like every devotee community, there were many problems there, and many problems come to Giriraj Maharaj. This problem, that problem between devotees, some problem, and how Giriraj Maharaj solved all these problems. So Giriraj Maharaj asked the devotees, okay, you have problem. Are you coming to the classes regularly? Are you coming to temple regularly? Then he say yes or no, whatever. Then Maharaj say, okay. So my request is you come for this Sunday feast, and on Monday I'll solve your problem. So once the devotee come for the Sunday feast and attend the full Sunday feast, chant, take prasad, dance with devotees, everything. And on more 99% cases, on Monday, they will never turn up. So automatically their problems will be taken care by Radharas Bihariji. So this is how Giriraj Maharaj explained that he maintained the temple for actually more than a decade without any much trouble. So this is the instruction which we have to understand, and we should try to follow similarly in our life, that instead of trying to rectify the problem with our limited mind, we should try to engage our mind, our senses in service of Lord by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we can all chant once together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's our mind can't understand that how come just by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra all these problems can be solved. But this is how it is, and this is how Prabhupada explained. This is how we have seen devotees living their life on this principle, and they are happily solving different problems. So we can't say that problems are not coming to them. Problems are coming to everybody. But this is the principle where most of the problems being taken care comfortably. So text number 13. The great sages, having thus described, approached King Vena, concealing their real anger. They pacified him with sweet words, and 10 spoke as follows. So this is the beauty. So whenever you want to approach, you want to tell something, first you have to pacify the person with sweet words. This is a diplomacy. We have been taught through Bhagavatam that first you try to pacify the person with sweet words. So you have to glorify a person, even though it's not worth of glorification, still you have to glorify. So the great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulent strength and reputation will increase. So this is how the sages try to pacify the king. Just listen to our advice. So it will give you some good in your life. And so they know that King Vena is a materialistic person, so strength and reputation will increase. So people will start respecting him more like that. But we see that later it all fails. So here Prabhupada explained that the great kings were very responsible in taking the instructions given by the great saintly personalities. The king used to accept the instruction given by great sages like Parashara, Vyasadeva, Narada, Devala, and Ashita. In other words, they would first accept Hare Krishna. I think there is some disturbance. We'll continue. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So we're back there. So this is how the great kings used to maintain. They used to have great rishis in their assembly, and with their advice only they used to lead. And we see the example, forget about this previous century, only this Kaliuga, Chanakya Pandit, Prabhupada quoted everywhere. So this is the king who take the advice of Chanakya. He becomes such a great emperor because of the advice of Chanakya, who again a great saint. So kings should be try to follow the saintly advice. If the citizens want to be happy and prosperous in their in this democratic age, they should not as elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly person. So this is one of the criteria when we try to select some person as our leader. Even we have a right to vote, we have a right to vote for MLAs at least. So we should try to see that who is a person who is having his saintly qualities. So that person we should try to elect, or who actually at least respect the saintly people, don't respect them. So this is the criteria Prabhupada has given us when we go for voting. We should try to see the candidate and who is a person who is having saintly quality, who is in respect in his heart for saintly people, who don't disrespect saints. Those people we should try to elect and select. Text number 15. Those who live according to religious principles and who follow them by words, minds, body, and intelligence are elevated to the heavenly kingdom, which is devoid of all miseries. Being thus rid of material influence, they achieve unlimited happiness in life. So here, this is to continue addressing the king Vena and continue trying to pacifying him by giving good advice, good instructions. And Prabhupada also explained that uh, that not only with the king or government had rid himself of the contamination of the material modes of nature, but the general public will also. So religion means worshipping the supreme personality of Godhead. So this is the purpose. This is a definition of religion. Prabhupada explained. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, some rain is there because of that network disturbance is there. Hare Krishna. So you all can see again. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Text number 16. The sages continued. Yes, Mother, thank you. The sages continue. 1 second. I'll just change my internet connection. Yeah, I think now should be better. The sages continued, O great hero, for this reason, you should not be the cause of spoiling the spiritual life of the great general populace. If their spiritual life is spoiled because of your activities, you will certainly fall down from your opulent and royal position. So this is how saints are explaining to King Vena that it's very importance of the spiritual life. Formerly in practically all parts of the world, there were monarchies, but gradually as monarchy declined from the ideal type of religion to the godless life of sense gratification, monarchies all over the world were abolished. However, simply abolishing monarchy and replacing it with democracy is not sufficient unless the government men are religious and following in the footsteps of great religious persons. Yeah. So we see earlier there were so many monarchs throughout the world, but now most of the world are following democracy where people are being allowed to vote, but that's not bringing any good change. Even we see the people who are being selected through democracy also creating havoc in the society. So until we level of Krishna consciousness and select a person who is a great devotee, it's very difficult for this world to improve in our situation. Text 19. The saintly persons continued, when the king protects the citizens from the disturbance of mischievous miseries as well as from the thieves and rogues, he can, by virtue of such pious activities, accept taxes given by his subjects. Thus, a pious king can certainly enjoy himself in this world as well as in the life after death. So this is how they try to explain him different ways, try to pacify King Vena. Formerly, ministers were appointed by king and were not elected. Yeah, very nice. Prabhupada explained that. Earlier ministers were not elected like we now elect. They were appointed by kings. If the king were not very pious or strict, the minister would become thieves and rogues, exploit the innocent citizens. If the king duty to set that there is no increase in thieves and rogues, either in government secretariat or in the departments of public affairs. If the king cannot give protection to the citizens from thieves and rogues, both in government service and public affairs, he has no right to extract taxes from them. In other words, the king of the government and taxes can levy taxes from the citizens. Only the king of government is able to give protection to the citizens from thieves and rogues. 12th canto of these thieves and rogues government service. So this is how long Prabhupada explained. The duty of the king to kill thieves and rogues. It was similarly his duty to immediately kill dishonest ministers in the government by service. Such vigilance. The king could run government very well, and the citizens would be happy to have such a king. The conclusion, Prabhupada is saying that the conclusion is that unless the king is perfectly able to give protection to the citizens from rogues and thieves, he has no right to levy taxes from the citizens for his own sense gratification. However, if he gives all protection to the citizens and levy taxes on them, he can live very happily and peacefully in this life, and at the end of his life to be elevated to the heavenly kingdom or even to the Vaikuntahs, where he will be happy in all respects. So this is how Prabhupada is explaining about the role and responsibility of kings and like the kings. So this is actually practically applicable for everybody. Now, like we being controller of at least our home, so we have a sense of controllership of our family. So until we give them devotion, we should not expect anything good coming out from our families also. Text number 18. The king is supposed to be pious, in whose state and cities the general populace strictly observe this the system of 8 social orders of Varna and Ashrama, and where all citizens engage in worshipping the supreme personality of Godhead by their particular occupations. Yeah. So we know that 4 Varnas, 4 Ashramas, that Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Brahmachari, Vanas, and Sannyas. So these are the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas, and this should be very nicely maintained in a society, very nice way. Then, in a perfect harmony, then only the society will grow in a very nice way, where everybody keeping Krishna as a center started worshipping him and started servicing him. Then this is the ideal society, which is explained by Prabhupada. So every citizen engaged in occupational render service by the resultant actions of his activities. That is the perfect life as studied in 18.46. So we'll just see once. 18.46. Yeah. Yatha pravatti bhutana yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tam bhayacha Siddhim Vinnati Manava. By worshipping of the Lord, who is the source of all being and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So this is how Bhagavad Gita also explained that worship, how much it's important to worship the Supreme Personality of Lord. Today, people engage in government service and people who rule. Today, people engaging in government rule the citizens have no respect for the Varnashrama Dharma. They complacently feel that the state is secular. In such a government, no one can be happy. The people must follow the Varnashrama Dharma and the king must are following it nicely. So this is how Prabhupada is condemning this secular word here in the purport. So it's not important to be secular. We should respect everybody equally and we should follow the Varnashrama Dharma properly, and then keeping Krishna in the center only we can be happy. Text number 19. O noble one, if the king sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original cause of the cosmic manifestation and the Supreme Soul within everyone is worshipped, the Lord will be satisfied. So this is the duty of a king, that to see that everybody is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead sincerely. So here Prabhupada writing that if the government or citizenry have no idea of Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of God, who is the original cause of cosmic manifestation, or if they have no knowledge of Bhuta Bhavana, who is Vishwa Atma or the Super Soul, the soul of everyone's heart, the conclusion is that without engaging in devotion service, neither such citizens nor the government can be happy in any way. So we can see throughout the world, wherever humanity is, humans are worshipping some form of God or some higher power in some way or other. But those who don't have any access to this Vedic scripture, Vedic culture, they don't have access to exactly who is God exactly. So they're just worshipping some imaginary God. And we can't see that they are going to get any benefit, much benefit to them. But we can only pray that somehow with this Krishna conscious movement, with this Lord Chaitanya mercy, they should also benefit and they should also grow. For that, once we become very sincere, once Prabhupada asks that if actually people become very, very sincere, then in a very short time we can actually change the whole world. The whole world can be changed. The thing is, we are not very sincere. That's how the changes we are seeing is not very, very fast. So if we want things to move forward very fast, it's a very recent example. See that whenever we come from the Satsang in our security, we just drop the prasad, excess prasad we used to be. Yesterday, the security person himself approached me and he was asking me for Japamala. So we can see that just by giving Krishna prasad also. And now Lilananda Prabhuji very wonderfully started this Nityam Prasada Seva. So we should not take this all services very, very cheaply. We should see that ultimately they are giving very, very good results. Just these people who are around this area will eat prasad. Even once we eat prasad, our spiritual life started. We are in the personal books, record our name in personal books of Krishna. Some other, this person has started spiritual life. Now it's Krishna's responsibility to take us, grow us, and somehow that engage us, and he will make sure that we will become sincere and we will come back to God. We are reading this Bhagavatam from the lineage of Dhruv Maharaj. So even Dhruv Maharaj was a great devotee, even his lineage. Now it's Krishna's responsibility that since one person becomes great devotee, all lineage should go back to home, back to Godhead. So we are seeing this. Even though one person like King Vena, he born not a nice person, cruel person, still we'll see that how Krishna intervene, and later Krishna himself come as a son. We'll see. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by the great demigod, who are controllers of the universal affairs. When he is satisfied, nothing is impossible to achieve. For this reason, all the demigods, presiding deities of different planets, as well as the inhabitants of their planets, take great pleasure in offering all kinds of paraphernalia for his worship. These sages, they keep on explaining all these things to Vena so that with the hope that he may improve and he may leave all his nonsense qualities and he become a nice king and he start considering his subjects as citizen nice way, and he tried to become God conscious himself and try to make his citizens God conscious. But we'll see later that everything has failed, and these sages will be forced to use Plan B. So they should also see that the people are engaged in satisfying the supreme personality of Godhead. This is the primary duty of the state. The Krishna conscious movement was started to convince the general populace to adopt the best process by which to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead and thus solve all problems. So this Krishna conscious movement actually can solve all our problems. Text number 21. Dear King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with the predominating deities, is the enjoyer of the results of all the sacrifice in all planets. The Supreme Lord is the sum total of the three Vedas, the owner of everything, and the ultimate goal of all austerity. Therefore, your countrymen should engage in performing various sacrifices for your elevation. Indeed, you should always direct them towards the offering of sacrifices. Text number 22. When all the Brahmanas engage in performing sacrifice in your kingdom, all the demigods who are plenary expansion of the Lord will be very much satisfied by their activities and will give you your desired results. Therefore, O hero, do not stop the sacrificial performances. If you stop them, you will disrespect the demigods. So this is how the quality, the process known as Sam Dam, then they are trying to engage fear in Vena that you are doing this, so that bad thing will give, and they are trying to give some material benefits. So somehow the yen came Vena should improve. That is what these sages are expecting. Now text 20 Vena Vacha. Now what Vena will reply? King Vena replied, you are not at all experienced. It is very much regrettable that you are maintaining something which is not religious and are accepting it as religious. Indeed, I think you are giving up your real husband who maintains you and are searching after some paramour to worship. So this is what analogy Vena is giving, that I am your real king, I am your God, I am the God, worship me. Why are worshiping some imaginary God? This is what King Vena is telling. So you can see that how degraded a person can become when he tried to foolishly accepting himself as God. Prabhupada very heavily condemned that King Vena was so foolish that he accused the saintly people of being inexperienced like small children. In other words, he was accusing them of not having perfect knowledge. In this way, he could reject their advice and make them, comparing them to a woman who does not care for her husband but who maintains her, but goes to satisfy a paramour who does not maintain her. The purpose of this simile is apparent. It is a duty of a Kshatriya to engage the Brahmanas in different types of religious activities, and the king is supposed to be maintainer of the Brahmanas. If the Brahmanas do not worship the king but instead go to a demigod, they are polluted as Anchasuma. So this is how wrong analogy King Vena is given. Next, those who, out of the gross ignorance, do not worship the king, who is actually the supreme personality of Godhead, experience happiness neither in this world nor in the world after that. So, same Bhagavad Gita knowledge he is giving, but he is seeing himself as a God. So, this is the poor fund of knowledge. We can see that how these are called Rakshasi mentality. Text number 25. You are so much devoted to the demigods, but who are they? Indeed, your affection for these demigods is exactly like the affection for an unchaste woman who neglects her married life and gives all attention to her paramour. Next, text number 26, 27. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Lord Vayu, and Master of Air, Yama, the Superintendent of Death, the Sun God, the Director of Rainfall, Kuvera, the Treasurer, the Moon God, the predominant deity of the Earth, Agni, Fire God, Varuna, the Lord of the Water, and all others who are great and competent to bestow benedictions or to curse, all abide in the body of the king. For this reason, the king is known as the reservoir of all demigods, who are simply part and parcel of the king's body. So this is actually the correct statement, but it's used in a wrong way. So statement is correct that for a saintly king, all these demigods reside in the saintly king. That is true. But this king himself started thinking that I am becoming God. That is wrong. So this is how we can see that how this statement of the Vedas scriptures can be misinterpreted in such a way that we can get a totally different meaning. This is how people are doing nowadays also. They are misinterpreting the statement of the Shastras for their own personal benefit. So that's why it's very important. Prabhupada always said that we should learn the scriptures totally in parampara system and not the other way around. There's no other way. So we should go in a parampara, proper parampara, and learn through them. Otherwise, we'll never understand the meaning of scriptures properly. So there are many demons who think of themselves as a supreme and present themselves as dictator of the sun, moon, and other planets. This is all due to false pride. Similarly, King Vena developed the demonic mentality and presented himself as a supreme personality of Godhead. Such demons are numerous in this age of Kali, and all of them are condemned by the great sages and saintly persons. Text number 28. King Vena continued, for this reason, O Brahmanas, you should abandon your envy for me, and by your ritualistic activities, you should worship me and offer me all the paraphernalia. If you are intelligent, you should not know that there is no personality superior to me who can accept the first oblations of all sacrifice. So this king actually wants that the sages should offer, do all the sacrifice in the name of king only, and not for the god. As stated by Krishna himself throughout the Bhagavad Gita, there is no true superior to him. King Vena was imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead and was also speaking out of the false pride, presenting himself as a Supreme Lord. These are the all characteristics of the demonic person. So this is how demonic person use the right scripture in a wrong way. So he was using the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, but he keeping himself as a king, not as a king, just a humble servant of Lord, but himself as a Lord. So next, Maitreya Uvacha. So now Maitreya Muni continued. The great sage Maitreya continued. The king who become unintelligent due to his sinful life and deviation from the right path become actually bereft of all good fortune. He could not accept the request of the great sages, which are the sages put before him with great respect, and therefore he was condemned. So this is very important that what Maitreya said, that the king who become intelligent to sinful life. So that's why Prabhupada says that four regulative principles. Now we can understand that once we stop committing sin, then only we can come to the level where we can understand all these things. If we don't stop our sinful life, will not follow the four regulative principles, will not come to the level of even a human being, and our mind will not open to understand all the subject matter. So this actually four regulative principles are not devotion, but they help us in better understanding of this devotion service. And actually bereft of all good fortune. So until we have enough pious credit, devotion life even not even starts. So that's the Prabhupada told. Four regulative principles are very important. So you should have some pious credit in your account so that your devotion life can be start smoothly. So demons certainly cannot have any faith in the word of authority. In fact, they are always disrespectful to authorities. They manufacture their own religious principles and disobey great personalities like Vyasa, Narada, and even the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna. As soon as one disobeys authority, he immediately becomes very sinful and loses his good fortune. The king was so puffed up and impudent that he dared disrespect the great saintly personalities, and his brought him ruination. So later we'll see how immediately his life cycle finishes. My dear Vidra, all your good fortune unto you. The foolish king who thought himself very learned thus insulted the great sages, and the sages, being broken-hearted by the king, become very angry at him. All the great saintly sages immediately cried, kill him, kill him. He is the most dreadful, sinful person. If he lives, he will certainly turn the whole world into ashes in no time. So this is together the saintly people decided that they should kill him. So here Prabhupada explaining that saintly persons are generally very kind. So we can ask that why saintly people want to kill somebody? They should be very, very merciful towards them. But actually this is their mercy, because they know that this King Vena is doing so much sin, so better we will kill him, so that at least he will stop committing more sins. So this is the mercy of saintly people. Saintly people are generally very kind to all kinds of living entities, but they are not unhappy when a serpent or a scorpion is killed. It is not good for saintly person to kill, but they are encouraged to kill demons who are exactly like serpents and scorpions. Therefore, all the saintly sages decided to kill King Vena. So we can see in Ramayana also, that Vishwamitra Muni, when he took Lord Rama and Lakshmana to help them continue his sacrifice, and on the way, a demoness called Tataka came, and Vishwamitra instructed Lord Rama, kill her. So even saintly people throughout, so they should actually support this killing of demonic people. Otherwise, society can't live. And it's actually they are doing justice by killing the demons to them also, so that they can get relief of this their demonic body. If king or government become demonic, it is the duty of saintly person to upset the government and replace it with the deserving persons who know the order and instructions of the saintly person. So this is important, but initially we should remember that for Prabhupada has instructed us for this yuga, saintly people are not that powerful. So better we just stick to our chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Krishna will take care of everything. The saintly sages continue. The impious, impudent man does not deserve to sit on the throne at all. He is so shameless that he even dared insult the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. So we know that King Hiranyakashipu, he insulted Lord Ravana, he insulted Lord. So this is the very common mentality of demonic person. Then when they think that they got some power and they can control everything, they can even insult the Lord. So this is very, very common. Pure devotee immediately become pretty with anger when he sees that Lord Vishnu or his devotee is insulted. This is the duty of devotee. Although a devotee maintains an attitude of meekness and gentleness, it is a great fault on his part if he remains silent when the Lord or his devotee is blasphemed. So this is very important, and we should understand that whenever somebody blasphemes devotee or a Lord, we should either stop him, or if we can't do that, we should at least leave that assembly. But for the king Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is aware all kinds of fortune and opulence. When human society individually or collectively becomes godless and blasphemes the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is certainly destined for ruination. Such a citizen invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not approaching the mercy of the Lord. Text 23. The great sages, thus manifesting their coward anger, immediately decided to kill the king. King Vena was already as good as dead due to his blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, without using any weapons, the sages killed King Vena simply by high-sounding words. So this is how the king killed the king just by reciting some mantra. After all the sages returned to their respective hermitage, the mother of King Vena, Sunita, became very much aggrieved because of her son's death. She decided to preserve the dead body of her son by the application of certain ingredients and by chanting mantras. So the mother, Sunita, actually preserved the body by chanting some mantras and by the application of some ointments, jadibooties. Once upon a time, the same saintly persons, after taking their bath in the river Saraswati, began to performing their duties by offering oblation to sacrifice fires. After this, sitting on the bank of the river, they began to talk about the transcendental person and his pastime. So they were sitting there, and what they saw a dust cloud. In those days, there were various disturbances in the country that were creating a panic in society. Therefore, all the sages began to talk among themselves. Since the king is dead and there is no practice of the word misfortune may befall the people in general for act of forgiveness and thief. So because the king was dead now, there was nobody to lead the society, and these kings, thieves and rogues, they become active, and the sages can see them nicely now. So next, when the great sages were carrying out this discussion, they saw a dust storm arising from all directions. This storm was caused by running of thieves and rogues who were engaged in plundering the citizens. So this is what is happening in the absence of a nice king. So king is very, very important for a society. Text. Upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly person could understand that there was a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, there was a great uprising of murderers, thieves, and rogues who were plundering the riches of the people in general. although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers, just as they could kill the king. They considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. So, although they were capable, but they thought, no, it's not our duty, it's the duty of a king. So, they will try to get a king. This is what Prabhupada explained. Next. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial, because he is equal to everyone, it is not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual powers diminish, just as water kept in cracked pot leaks out. This is a very good analogy. The Brahmana should not neglect the common man. He should at least work for the welfare of everybody. And if somebody is in their situation, should help them. So we should not say, oh, we are devotee, we just chant Hare Krishna. But practically, whatever we can do in our hand, we should try to help the people also. So here Prabhupada explains also. Unless one becomes a Vaishnava, one's perfection of Brahmical culture is incomplete. So saintly person considered very wisely that although King Vena was very sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruv Maharaj. Therefore, the semen in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava. As such, the sages wanted to take step to relieve the situation. So they thought that since the lineage should continue from Dhruv Maharaj, and what they did next, and this is all we can see that is all planned by Lord himself. The sages decided that the descendant of the family and the saintly king's Anga should not be stopped. For in this family, the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to becoming devotees of the Lord. So this is how what they did. Yeah, here Prabhupada explained nicely. The family descendant become impure. Okay. Yeah. Become contaminated. Oh, King Anga. His semen, King Anga was a great devotee, but still his son was not a devotee, Vena. So Prabhupada explained that his semen became contaminated in association with his wife Sunita, who happened to be the daughter of death personified. Because of his polluted semen, the king Vena was produced. This was catastrophe in the family of Dhruv Maharaj. All the saintly person and sages considered this point and they decided to take action in this matter, as described in the following verses. After making a decision, the saintly person sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena, the great force, and according to the specific mood, as a result of his churning, a dwarf-like person was born from the King Vena body. So this is actually all the bad qualities which are coming in King Vena. They came out from his body in the form of this dwarf-like person. So here Prabhupada explaining from Bhagavad Gita that King Vena is dead. They could not revive him. They cannot give birth to King Vena again. But since King Vena, through King Vena body, they can produce another body, which is what is happening from father. The son is being born. Next. This person born from King Vena thighs were named Pahuka. So his name is Pahuka. And his complexion was as black as the crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were reddish and his hair was copper colored. So all the sin in the part of King Vena came out in the form of Bahuka. He was very submissive and meek. And immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, Sirs, what shall I do? The great sage replied, please sit down. Thus, Nishada, the father of Nishada race, were born. So from this Bahuka, this Nishad race born. It is said in Shastra that the head of the body represents the Brahmana and the arm represents Kshatriya, the abdomen represents the Vaishya, and the leg beginning with the thighs represents Shudra. The Shudra are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Sukla or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are the mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinary white are said to have skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or golden hue is the color of higher caste and black is the complexion of the Shudras. So this is what is general conclusion. Next. After the Nishada birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant action of King Vena's sinful activities. So, sins part are being taken by this Nishada. After such, this Nishada class was always engaged in simple activities like stealing, plundering, hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. So they remain isolated from the general society and they can do all their simple activities there. So here Prabhupada explained from Bhagavad Gita, Mami Parth Vyaparthina Yeti Sute Papa Yonaya Sito Vaishya Tatha Shudra Tepi anti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, thought they be of lower birth, though they be of lower birth, women Vaishyas as well as Shudras can approach the supreme destination. So we should not think that in Kali Yuga actually everybody born as a Shudra, Kali Shudra Sambhava, but we should not lose our hope that we can all take the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead through chanting of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this next chapter, we will see that how these sages, they churn the arms of King Vena body, and from that Prithu Maharaj will born. So Prithu Maharaj come as a Shakti Avesha avatar of Lord Krishna, and then whole thing will be revived nicely. So that we will continue next week with some new devotee. So thank you for tolerating me. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Story of King Vena. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So I'll stop here. I'll just leave some room for 1 or 2 questions. If anybody want to ask, please ask now. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice narration.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you. I'll just read from Bhagavatam.
Prabhuji, can you give a background about yourself, Prabhuji? I mean, I'm not, I mean, I did not introduce each other to you. So you can tell about how you came into Krishna consciousness and, your journey so far.
Hare Krishna. Sapan Prabhu, I actually, can I see you once so we can have a better interaction?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanwad Pranam.
Hare
Thank you.
Dandavad.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So actually, for me, my journey in Krishna consciousness started in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, back in 2009. So I went there for training, and some of my friends, they took me for Janmashtami feast in temple. So the first day I experienced Krishna consciousness in temple in Janmashtami, and unknowingly they put me in a lot of services. So from there my journey started. That was my first fasting in my life, I still remember. And slowly I like that temple environment so much. I like the devotee environment so much. Then I started going there regularly. And later I saw devotees being very happily serving each other. So I thought I want to become just one of them. And it's very easy. So slowly. And then in 2011, I came back to Hyderabad. And in Hyderabad, I got association of very, very nice devotees, sincere devotees. And some other, his journey continuing. And later for last 7 years now, Lilananda Prabhuji is guiding us. So under his guidance and many other devotees' guidance, journey is still continuing. So
Yeah,
whatever services
nice,
we are getting, doing Hare Krishna. Small story.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I was just curious, how you came into this. So since we didn't talk before, I was just asking you.
Yeah. So
Because
maybe,
it's always interesting, how someone evolves through this process, right?
yes, it's very interesting to learn that how Krishna actually interferes in each and every devotee's life, and some other bring him and even continue growing him also. So we can see that it's not only in Bhagavatam, even in present life, each and every devotee personally life, Krishna is taking care. So we can, if we started introspecting our life now, we can see that whatever happening in our life right now, especially after coming to Krishna consciousness, so we can see all this Krishna's plan to slowly bring us closer to him. So we can clearly see that. Everybody can see that.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, so Praveen K. Prabhu actually introduced me to this group. So I've been coming here very often.
Yeah.
So I live in the US actually. So
You are live from US, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I do some service here very often. I visit the Goshala often here. And I'm also part of Giriraj Prabhu and Lalit Mohan Prabhu's group.
Yeah. Every day morning they're reading.
Yeah, by their grace, I learned Kunti Maharani prayers, Sri Brahma Samhita prayers, and Dhruva Maharaj prayers, and we also regularly are part of the classes every day.
Yeah, very nice. Actually, I used to be there regularly, but somehow I could not make it now. But it's so nice interacting with you, bro.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you for letting me. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sapan Prabhuji, very nice to know you. I didn't know about your background as well, so nice to know because I see in some of the Giriraj Prabhu's classes you were so nicely reciting the shlokas.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, and
Thank you.
thanks for being part of that group.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. If there are no questions, we will meet next week.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
बात की जाए
Everyone, thank you.
आंशा कल्पनिष्ठ के पास जिंदगी पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much, Losh Prabhu,
Prabhuji.
for your wonderful class. You're always very sincere. A lot of inspiration to take from you. Nicely recite Bhagavatam classes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for
Wonderful.
the opportunity. Hare.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.